A lot of narcissists can drop clues as to who they are, but they have already thought about what kind of plausible deniability to use to offset those things happening. Thus, they can play a game from the start where two different impressions can be given to the same person or group of people simultaneously. Keeping in mind that the narcissist always consciously or unconsciously knows that they are compelled to manipulate and discard their victims. The people that they've targeted do not know this unless they are educated about the red flags of narcissism prior to meeting a narcissist. So, on the one hand, a targeted person or any victim of a narcissist might think that things are a little bit off on one hand, but on the other, they do seem to like really nice things and to be taken care of very well because the narcissist can appear absolutely harmless to their victims, regardless of who they are. And they will and can achieve their ends to their needs. And crucially, if a victim feels that things are off with the narcissist, that kind of calls the narcissist to come up with more plausibly deniable situations. And so, because that narcissist understands that they are compelled to discard most people as soon as they get into the devaluation stage, they realize that this relationship is just like every other relationship that they have had, and that this person is not the one. There are some people who will recognize narcissistic abuse in the beginning, in the dating stages, possibly the idealization stage if it gets that far. It depends on what type of narcissist you're dealing with. And there are some people who are hardliners like, hey, I am out of here, hands up, I am done, because I recognize that this person is a narcissist and that they are dangerous for me to continue to hang around and be given a false impression and possibly take the risk of being trauma bonded to this person. They state their boundaries early on in the relationship so that they have some protection, and it won't necessarily work against the narcissist because the narcissist can see this as a challenge. Absolutely anything can put a target at the risk of being manipulated, gaslit, and trauma bonded by a narcissist. Thus, one person has judged the narcissist on an initial first impression, and the other has reserved any kind of judging until they get to know the narcissist a bit better. So they're going to be somebody who gives the benefit of the doubt, even though there is danger of being trauma bonded by a narcissist. And this happens in cases where a victim is not educated on narcissistic abuse. So that is one of the reasons why I do what I do in educating people on what to look for, not necessarily how to heal, but raising awareness, because that's the stage that I'm in my recovery. So it's also worth pointing out that sometimes the targeted person may feel like they know the narcissist better than they already do. Because the targeted person thinks that they know the narcissist better than they already do know them, and they're not realizing that all that they've gotten to know at all is a false persona, and that they do not know the narcissist from there's nothing to get to know because the narcissist built that mask based upon what they believed they wanted you to see. And this can cause extreme cognitive dissonance. And this affects how a person might assess the new information that's coming to light to for them about the narcissist, especially if they already have a lot of stress going on in their lives. And they may think to themselves that this person will set boundaries on their own behavior, not just setting boundaries with your reactions and your behavior. Of course, they believe that this person is already going to have strong boundaries put into place, like a neurotypical person, and not realizing that they lack object constancy. So they won't actually refrain from doing something because it hurts someone that they've known for a very long time. And in fact, they do it because it hurts this person and they enjoy seeing this person hurt. So if this target doesn't realize that they're with the narcissist, that narcissist will assume that the target or the victim has already bonded to them, and the victim believes that they won't cause them serious harm. And the targeted person may not realize that this person does not take any personal responsibility whatsoever for their actions and feel entitled not to do so. So, some of the more plausible than I'm compelled to try to break your spirit through a discard explanations can sound like this. I'm lonely. I suffer from depression. I was just joking. I was going through a hard time. I can be selfish at times. I find it hard to communicate effectively at times or all the time, and I'm a bit silly when I'm bored. I can do you no harm. It's complicated, and I know I'm not easy to understand, but I would never hurt you. I would never be malicious. Or the standard "you're paranoid and you just have trust issues" line. We've all heard that one, or so it seems. The seemingly minor, subtle stuff that seems off about the narcissist depends on how well educated that victim is on narcissistic abuse. And that's hands down what it comes down to. Absolutely 100%. Sometimes the reasons for abuse are not tangible or concrete reasons, because the narcissist in question is sometimes and often not doing it for financial gain or for a reason that would make sense to any neurotypical person. So here is an example. In a legal system, for example, it is easier to prosecute somebody who has posed as a catfish online to extort money rather than prosecuting somebody who posed as a catfish online and subsequently caused mental harm to this person or emotional trauma to this person, which is absolutely delusional. And narcissistic abuse is 100% and often opportunistic and deliberately outlandish. It is designed to make the victim sound crazy upon retelling their story. And that's something I want you to remember, because this perpetrator is a master crazy maker. And many of us are uneducated on the sophistication of covert mental and emotional abuse tactics, and we tend to think it is much more overt than what it really is. If a person was educated about the red flags of narcissism prior to getting into a relationship like this, then they would have been able to assess in the beginning the reasons why something felt off, the one thing that you couldn't put your finger on, but something was there definitely from day one. And therefore, they overestimate their ability to manage and understand the threat to their personal safety by engaging with an uncurable personality disordered person. And speaking of overestimating one's ability to manage a situation, education needs to improve so that people are taught that it is very, very important not to hang around somebody defending your boundaries, especially with certain people within a relatively short time frame, as it can do massive, massive damage, more than anyone would ever imagine. A healthy relationship is not one where the person has to anticipate all of the loopholes a person may look for to knock down a boundary. And it is similarly unhealthy if the targeted person incorrectly assumes that there will be a negative or a positive consequence for a boundary violation, because that actually isn't how a narcissist thinks. And somebody who is educated on the red flags of narcissism would be in a better position to know that this is not someone with just a little bit of trouble on the horizon. This is somebody who views someone as supply. They have deficits in effective empathy, and although they give the appearance of a very caring, charming, charismatic person with highly developed cognitive empathy, mimicking does not count. This is not real, and they are dangerous in ways that are not visible or easily identifiable to some people.